Field Report. Death Mauler Ant. Worker. Threat classification: dangerous. Casualty: 200. Survivor: 1.
200 of us died in minutes. I want you to understand that before anything else. 200 soldiers, trained, armed, battle-hardened, mammals who had seen things that would break ordinary people. Gone in minutes. This is not a report of heroism. This is a warning. 3 weeks ago, Command received scout intelligence. A group of slave rebels had fortified themselves inside Fort Lurick, a decommissioned outpost 2 days east of our position. They had been bleeding our supply convoys for months. Ambushes, hit and run, disappearing back into the forest before we could respond. Command had enough. The order came down clean and simple. Assemble a company, march to Fort Lurick, crush them, return by week's end. I assembled 200 of my finest, veterans, soldiers I trusted with my life. We carried enough Spinecaster rounds to level the fort twice over. Supplies handled by the slave detail. Morale was high. We marched at dawn. 2 days through dense forest. Nothing unusual. Trees rustling, wind through the canopy, the ordinary sounds of a living wilderness. I remember thinking the forest felt too alive, too loud. The very branch we stepped on, every leaf disturbed by the wind, were trying to tell us something. I dismissed it. My scouts reported no enemy movement on either flank. The road to Fort Lurick was clear, wide open, uncontested. In my experience, uncontested roads mean one of 2 things. Either the enemy has already fled, or we're walking into a trap. We reached the fort at dusk on the 2nd day. I ordered the company to hold position at the tree line. Standard tactic. We would observe through the night and strike at first light. Fort Lurick was quiet, completely quiet. No bright stones on the walls, no movement on the parapets, no sound of voices or activity from inside. For a fortified position holding an active rebel force, it was wrong. Rebels maintain watches, they post guards, they make noise. This place made none. It felt like an ambush. Every minute I spend staring at the fort. I sent 4 scouts ahead to probe the perimeter. They never came back. I waited, told myself they had gone silent for operational reasons, told myself there was an explanation. At first light, I gave the order to advance, despite my guts screaming at me to run. We moved in formation across the open ground toward the gates. No bolt fire from the walls, no challenge from a guard post, no resistance of any kind. 200 soldiers crossing open ground in plain sight, and nothing. The gates were closed, but not barred. I pushed them open myself. We entered the fort. I have seen battlefields before. I have seen what war does to bodies. Nothing prepared me for what was inside Fort Lurick. Hundreds of rebels, what remained of them, scattered across every surface of the courtyard, walls, ground, the steps of the garrison building, torn apart with a violence I have no adequate word for. Not killed, dismantled. Limbs separated from bodies with a clean, mechanical precision that no blade produces. Armor shredded like fabric. Stone walls cracked and gouged where something had slammed bodies into them with enormous force. The smell hit us like a physical thing. My men went silent. Then, movement. Low to the ground, dragging. One of my scouts, what remained of him, pulling himself forward on his arms across the courtyard floor. Everything below his chest was simply gone. Gone cleanly, like something had bitten through him and swallowed the rest. He looked up at me. One word.
Run.
The ground moved, not shook, moved. A deep rhythmic vibration coming up through the soles of my boots. Something massive, many somethings, moving in coordinated pattern. I looked up at the fortress wall. One appeared first, a death mauler worker ant. I had heard of them. Every soldier who served in the Eastern Front had heard of them. We had been briefed. We had seen illustrated field guides. We thought we understood what we were dealing with. We did not. Nothing prepares you for the reality of scale. The worker caste of the Death Mauler colony stands roughly the height of a wagon and twice the length. Their carapace is black, not dark brown, black like the absence of light, the kind of black that swallows everything around it. 6 legs, each ending in a hooked claw capable of anchoring into solid stone. Mandibles wide enough to close around a grown mammal completely. And they move fast. Horrifyingly fast for something that size. 1 on the wall became 2. 2 became a dozen became hundreds, pouring over the walls on all sides simultaneously, moving in absolute silence until the moment they didn't. We were already surrounded before a single order was given. I screamed for spine casters. Every weapon we had opened up at once, in all directions. It didn't matter. We were completely surrounded. A concentrated fire from the spinecaster rounds that would drop large insectoids at distance simply didn't matter here. Even though we had brought enough ammunition to level the fort twice over, and it meant nothing when the hundreds of these monsters barreling down on you. They came through the gate. My best soldier, a veteran of 4 campaigns, a soldier I had watched hold a defensive line alone for 6 minutes under heavy assault, was gone in seconds. I didn't see it happen. I heard it. I turned, and there he was, ripped into pieces. Only his head remains. That is when fear arrived. Real fear. The kind that doesn't wait for your mind to process what's happening. Pure animal terror that moves your body before your thoughts catch up. I ran. I don't remember jumping into the well. I remember the impact, the cold, the darkness rushing up. Then nothing. When I regained consciousness, the light above me had changed. I climbed, hand over hand, every muscle screaming. I pulled myself over the edge. Silence. Complete silence. 200 soldiers. Gone. Not a single survivor. Not a body that was whole. The workers had moved through us like water through open ground. Not with rage. Not with fury, with complete mechanical efficiency. We were not a battle to them. We were not even a threat. We were an interruption. I was the only one left because I ran. That is the honest truth of how I survived.
Captain, sole survivor, Fort Lurik Incident, Eastern Empire, 25th Expeditionary Forces.
Assessment. Death Mauler Ant. Worker. Workers' ants are classified as dangerous individually, but reclassified as extremely dangerous when they are attacking in a swarm. The Mauler Death Ant is one of the most successful insectoid species within the ant kingdoms of MyTerra. Worker ants of this species typically measure 3 to 5 meters in length, possessing a heavily reinforced carapace, far more durable than most ant species. Their bodies are built for endurance and combat, allowing them to survive prolonged battles against rival insectoid colonies. Compared to other ants, Mauler Death Ant workers exhibit exceptional durability and resilience, often outlasting their opponents in large-scale ant wars. But the sole purpose of existence is to hunt, collect, and feed the massive appetite of their hive cities.
Behavior. Mauler Death Ants operate with highly coordinated hive intelligence and exist in staggering numbers. The last recorded estimates place some colonies at over 50 million individuals. A typical hunting formation consists of 100 workers, though this number rapidly increases depending on the threat encountered. Scout workers often detect prey first and signal nearby groups to reinforce the attack. When responding to larger targets, Mauler workers may call in hundreds or even thousands of additional ants to overwhelm prey through sheer numbers. Unlike many insectoid predators, Mauler Death Ants are omnivorous conquerors, consuming nearly any organism they encounter, including other apex insectoids.
Advisory: expeditions encountering Mauler Death Ant scouts should retreat immediately. A single scout often indicates that hundreds of additional workers are nearby. Regions containing hive cities are classified as cataclysmic threat zones.
Subscribe for more content. See you on the next video.